Hey guys, here we go into a video on Keith Thurman and his chances to beat Manny Pacquiao. And the video is titled Keith Father Time Thurman. And we're going to see if he's going to be playing the role of the spoiler or the role of Father Time in this fight. Because that's what everyone's going to say it is if Keith Thurman wins, that, oh, age finally caught up to Pacquiao, you know. It wouldn't be like if Keith Thurman was a good fighter or this or that, you know, he just got old, he just did this, you know. But anyway, I don't really want to focus on that. I do want to focus on the fight. And it turns out that Keith Thurman's actually a much better fighter against southpaws than he is against orthodox fighters. And I'm actually really impressed with some of his stuff. In spite of the fact that this winds up being a closer fight than most people thought it would be. But Luis Collazo is a very, very, very tough fighter, very talented. He's had a lot of questionable losses in his career. Ricky Hatton comes to mind. I haven't watched that fight in a long time. I watched it live, and I remember thinking, like, oh, man, you know, back when I didn't know as much about boxing, but I remember thinking, dude, this could have been a raw deal, man. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But anyway, Collazo, a very tough fighter, you know. He one of my fan favorite fighters is Victor Ortiz, and I was so disappointed that Victor Ortiz took that fight because Luis Collazo is a dangerous guy, and as you guys saw if you watched that fight, he knocked him the F out. But anyway, Keith Thurman, and I want to focus, starting off, I want you guys to pay attention to his active guard because this is going to be very important. Just like in the Adrian Broner fight, Keith Thurman doesn't have a very active guard, and we saw in the Adrian Broner fight how important it was, and I talked about it before. Because you need to be able to control your opponent. You need to be able to make them think, right? If they're making more decisions per minute than you are, you're very likely going to lose that fight. And I'll expand on that later. In a couple of months, I'll have some videos on that. But it's the idea that they're controlling you. They are making you think at their pace rather than them think at your pace, right? And as you see, Keith Thurman, he kind of plods along. You know, he does a decent job of moving around the ring, right, as he steps. He's in perfect control of his body, right? You get the sense that he could do anything at any second. Whereas if you look at Collazo, he looks kind of stiff, you know. His hands are up, but he doesn't look like he's exactly ready to punch, you know. So there's a difference there. You can just kind of see it. But Keith Thurman coming forward, probing, right? A little bit of control with the lead hand, right? When he gets close to Collazo. A couple of feints, right? And then immediately into a left hook, which almost gets him countered as he sees, because he doesn't know how Collazo is going to react to that, you know. And now this is a very interesting scene. I want you to watch the rhythm between these two fighters. Collazo's hopping forward, and when he hops forward, Keith Thurman controls him with the lead glove, right? Hops forward, and then he feints forward, and Keith Thurman says, oh, I got him. And then he feints forward again and looks to touch gloves with him, and then Keith Thurman does something really interesting, you know. So first off, Keith Thurman says, oh, let's touch gloves, and then he looks to take the outside, the lead foot dominance, right, and shoot the left hand to the body, but he doesn't look to even land the left hook to the body. It doesn't. It looks like that winds up being another feint, so he can come back with the right hook, you know. Now, this is actually kind of high-level stuff, you know. It really surprised me, but if you look at him, commits to the jab feint, commits to the jab feint, commits to the right hand feint, and then commits obviously to the left hook that's actually supposed to land. So he makes it very easy for those punches to be seen, and that might wind up being a problem for him. Now, this is Manny Pacquiao's bread and butter. It's that leaning on the front foot and then shooting the straight left hand. And as you see, Keith Thurman's able to get his hand on that one, parry it, and then take an angle, and then, you know, I'm not sure if he lands any punches. You know, it looks like he goes for a right hand to the body, but he doesn't fully commit to it. But as you see, it's the first one that Collazo throws in their fight, and Thurman is ready for it. And even worse, in the next scene, he shoots another one. He gets a piece of it, Thurman does, and counters with the right hook. Now, Collazo in this scene, he doesn't have the most active guard, and you know, and it's not like Pacquiao's, right? So he's going to take this small step and then shuffle, take an angle so he can kind of get on the outside of Thurman, right? But he kind of telegraphs it, right? And that's very, very important, especially for when we get farther into this film study. But again, Another part that I want to focus on is, a minute into the round, Keith Thurman winds up becoming very, reactionary, right? He stops looking to control his opponent and starts being a reactive opponent, right? Stops looking to set his shots up just by a little bit of movement from Collazo early in the round, and that stops him from continuing his kind of war path, right? He saw that his very basic level feints and control techniques weren't working. He wasn't able to find Collazo, and that made him kind of revert to being a little bit more reactionary. Now, again, Collazo feinting, controlling him a little bit. Wait, did I miss the clip? I don't know what happened. Let me go back. Sorry. Um, um, Moving around the ring, right? And then he takes a step and then shoots the straight left hand. And he gets pretty close to that one, but he also gets pretty close to eating a huge left hook from Thurman, right? Now, this is very interesting. I'll have to do a little bit more film on Pacquiao, which will be coming later this week. But this is Manny Pacquiao's probably most effective shot, is just leaning on the front foot and then sliding in there and then shooting the straight left hand. He scores a lot of punches. He scores a lot of points with that. He lands a lot of punches with it, and it's how he dominated De La Hoya. Anyway, getting back to the Keith Thurman, feinting and probing a little bit there, controlling him, and doing some decent work there. But again, committing to everything, right? Notice how he's feinting, right? Feint, and then he steps really hard with his shots, right? It's very easy to see Keith Thurman coming, and even though he does land at least that body shot, or the second body shot, even though he does land at least the second body shot, right here, most of the stuff is easy for Collazo to see and get out of the way of, and that's because Thurman doesn't set his punches up around how you react to his feints. He just kind of says, oh, I did my job feinting, right? Let's see if I can land the punch, And that's very dangerous because Manny Pacquiao is also a counterpuncher himself. And again, Thurman doing a great job of getting away from that lead, that straight left hand, right? But what I want you to focus on while we see that is that Collazo is not setting it up, right? He's ready to spring into the attack. Makes it very obvious. His weight is on his back foot. You can see it coming. If you've ever fought a day in your life or done any kind of sparring, you'll pick that up right away. And Collazo's not able to land those shots. And Thurman's able to pick them off and, almost land some counters, And again, the same thing, not able to land those shots. And then Keith Thurman, again, being very predictable with his attacks, right? Coming forward, feinting, right? And then stepping really hard with his shot. He gets picked off there, boom, and then eats a counter. Now, again, he doesn't use his boxing knowledge, to figure out what Collazo is going to do before he does it, right? He doesn't ask him the right questions. Even though he's looking to ask questions, right? He doesn't use the answers that Collazo gives him, right? To throw the right shots. Not saying that there was a right shot there, right? But he needed to do a better job of getting Collazo out of position. As you see, now Collazo has control of him when he's looking to come forward, right? Thurman's like, oh, man, I don't want to get hit by that hook again, So he's kind of, even though he's the one pressing the attack, he doesn't know what to do with the information that he's getting from Collazo, from the counters. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but anyway, I'm sure you guys get it. But the next round, why do I have that clip in there, I wonder? The next round has Keith Thurman chasing him around. Oh, that's why. And then you have him coming through, right? And look at how he pivots off the line. Keith Thurman still picks that one off, right? And catches him with the good right hook, Now, this is going to be a very, very, very important part of the whole fight, you guys. Watch Manny Pacquiao look to do this technique because there are a few ways that it can go. It can go with Keith Thurman catching him with a left hook of his own, or it's going to happen like it happens a little later on in the round. But as you see here again, Keith Thurman very predictable with his attacks, not having a lot of success because he's just kind of throwing punches at his opponent. Now, again, this is really bad because if you watch the Jeff Horn fight, Jeff Horn did a pretty decent job of feinting and getting Pacquiao out of position, but Jeff Horn still got freaking smashed. He was eating some big punches. That was a close fight, volume-wise. But if you were asking yourself who you'd rather be at the end of each round, you'd probably be like, Jeff Horn did some good work in there, but Manny Pacquiao was busting him up, you know? And I think that that might be a problem for Keith Thurman, is that his attacks are very easy to see, and he doesn't set them up as effectively as he needs to. You know, and here he's given like a couple of different looks. He's really looking to get Collazo out of position, doing a decent job with all these feints, right? Boom, 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 right? But if you notice again, before he attacks, right? Let's see, where is it? Again, before he attacks, he takes a step, right? Control him, shoot the right hand, right? And then again, boom, control him, right? Feint, transfers all his weight to his back leg, and then right hand to the body. The stepping with his punches, now he does a good job of transitioning his weight each time he does it, right? Every time he shoots the left, he transfers his weight to his back leg, even when it's just a jab, and then into the right hand. But it makes it very predictable, right? And even worse, he's open for counters as well. And again, Manny Pacquiao is a counter puncher himself. So it might be very fascinating. Now, this is also a technique that Marquez used to use against Pacquiao, so Pacquiao's seen it 1,000 times. But watch Collazo slip to the outside, and now he's about to take another step to the So he takes a step with his right foot, moving towards Keith Thurman's left side, right? Then transfers his weight back, and then he's about to take another step, but Keith Thurman blocks him and says, no, you're going to move into my right hand by throwing a left hook to the body. This is something that Marquez tried to do against Pacquiao a lot, and Pacquiao was able to actually come back with his own counters as well. I believe his own right hook off of that counter and his own straight left as well, which is going to be very dangerous for Thurman because, as we notice, right, slip to the outside of Keith Thurman, that's the same motion that you're going to use to throw a straight left hand. And if Keith Thurman does that to Pacquiao, he might wind up catching a straight left hand right here to the face, or a straight left hand and a right hook. You know, or similarly to what Pacquiao did to Hatton, where he threw that right hand or that straight left hand, boom, rolls the shot and then comes up with another hook, or catches him with the right hook. I think that's what it is. He catches him with a right hook and then rolls his opponent's hook. You know, but anyway, Pacquiao is very, very, very well versed at fighting on his front foot and having traps. Very, very talented fighter, you guys. But now we're going to get a little bit more into Collazo with his active guard. As Collazo in the third round starts actually moving forward and being the one to press and give different looks. As you see, he almost catches Keith Thurman with that one, but look at how Keith Thurman takes this small step back, right? He sees it, boom, and then comes in, repivots with the left hook into the right hand. You know, great technique from Keith Thurman, right? Even though he does, that's really bad, leaning straight back. But he's able to get himself into position to control him with the left hook and then land the right hand there. But great punch technique overall. But winds up trading a little bit. But anyway, coming forward, right? And now we have Collazo setting up his own punches because, you know, I don't know if Keith Thurman's tiring or Keith Thurman's tactics. He's just using too much energy and not getting enough reward. But whatever's going on with Keith Thurman that puts him on the back foot, you know, maybe it's Collazo doing the feinting, right? As you see here, feint, right? Transitioning his weight better, coming forward, feinting a little better, right? But look at how he's able to bait Keith Thurman into throwing his hooks, right? So he can come back with his own shots. Again, this is something that Pacquiao is very good at as well with all the feints that he gives. Now, I don't think that left hook lands. I do want to make that clear. Misses, and he almost comes back with his own counter. But that's something that Manny Pacquiao is also very good at doing, is baiting the counters from his opponents. And if Keith Thurman is showing that he wants to be countering Manny Pacquiao has that very, very, very active guard, that very, very, like, feinty style, like, slip to the inside, slip to the outside, slip to the inside, right? And then when he slips to the inside the next time, right, he comes in with that right hook, right? Or slips to the outside, goes in with that left hand, right? He's able to hide these punches very well, or pull Keith Thurman's layers of defense out of him so he can counter those appropriately. But now we have Collazo really taking control in the fourth round, feinting, giving him different looks. And I don't think Collazo was winning, right? But he was wearing Keith Thurman down, I think. And mentally, he was winning the the strategic portion of the fight, in spite of the fact that he was still being outlanded, I believe. But I feel like he was going to have like a really late resurgence. But look at how he starts being able to land his shots and get Keith Thurman out of position with the feints, and start landing his shots. But again, right, slipping to the right, baiting Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman thinks that when he slips to the outside here, right, he's going to shoot that straight left hand, and then Keith Thurman's ready for that left hook right there. He's ready, but he's able to feint him, and again, waiting for that right hook again, or that left hook again, right, and then when he finally is ready, he's able to sneak that shot in anyway, even though Keith Thurman is ready for it the whole time. Now, this is very, very, very important for the fight, because we saw in the beginning of the fight, Keith Thurman was... One second, guys. What's up, man? Yeah, I'm recording a video. That's my coworker, Darren. He's super cool. But anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, as we saw in the beginning of the fight, Keith Thurman was catching Collazo with the left hook counters very well. He was doing a very good job of it. But as soon as Collazo started seeing that was what was happening, and Collazo, I want to say Collazo's a very good fighter, but I want to say he's more appropriately like at the Keith Thurman level, right? I want to say like C-level fighter, right? Great talent, smart boxing, good technique, but he just doesn't have the layers of offense, right? He goes into the fight learning about his opponents rather than with a craft built around his own style, right? So he's very adaptable. He can do a lot of things, but without doing film study on your opponent, you don't know how you want to approach them as a fighter, so you don't have a game plan, but also not having like a level of craft already like built in, and I think that Keith Thurman is very similar. He just expects to kind of go out there, figure them out, and then land the one time, whereas a fighter like Manny Pacquiao has a style that they look to make you fight from, right? A craft. And if they get you fighting their fight, right, you're already in the hole, because they have, Manny Pacquiao has 70 fights with that style, and it'll be Keith Thurman's first time fighting that style. So he's already behind, Now the margins aren't that high, right? Or they're not that deep, right? You can pick it up and figure it out on the fly, but you're going to be down a round. You're going to be down 2 rounds, right? And then you got to make an adjustment. And then when you make your adjustment, you got to hope that they don't have an adjustment already like pre-recorded from their previous fights. Like, I remember this tactic. I know how to get around it. If they do, you wind up being another round or 2 down, and it just piles up, and then you get knocked out. But anyway, as you can see, once Collazo starts feinting him, right, and exposing the layers of Keith Thurman's defense, because Keith Thurman is looking to layer his defense with counterpunching, he's easily able to get Keith Thurman out of position or to stop respecting the feint enough to start landing the shots himself, right? And again, I think that's what he's going to do here again. Keith Thurman having a very hard time controlling Collazo as Collazo is fighting off that front foot, and again, able to land those straight lefts. I don't think he actually lands that one. But again, Keith Thurman not countering it either, because he doesn't know when it's going to be coming and when it's not. But again, the kind of active guard style, like poor man Pacquiao here, right? Doing a good job of getting Keith Thurman out of position, right? And again, Keith Thurman doesn't control the space between him and his opponent. He's not constantly feinting. He's not constantly giving you different looks. He's not constantly making you adjust to him, right? Even though he lands a good shot there, when Collazo comes forward again, right? When Collazo comes forward again, he feints him with that shot and then slips and lands a great body shot and then another great body shot here. And as we saw in the fight, that's exactly what winds up hurting Keith Thurman before they stop the fight for some reason. But as we can see, Keith Thurman is very easy to get out of position, and he's very predictable with his attacks. When his feints, they're not super well set up. And Collazo looks like he's actually in this fight, after the 4th round. And again, coming forward, Manny Pacquiao has seen this attack many, many times, how Keith Thurman gets off the line. But again, coming forward and able to hide his punches a little better, right? Boom. Even though he doesn't land it, right? But he has control of Keith Thurman, and he has Keith Thurman getting out of position when he wants him to. Again, he can feint him here. Keith Thurman's like, oh, I better throw a right hand, right? Keep him off. Again, more feinting, easy to get him out of position so he can come in with the counters. And I think Keith Thurman winds up getting the better of that exchange. But it's not hard to get Keith Thurman out of position. And as we can see, Collazo doesn't even have that active of a guard, right? Great counter right there from Collazo, right? He's able to walk forward, and off that timing, Keith Thurman thinks, oh, I'm going to catch him with that easy Mikey Garcia timing, right? Where he fights him on the front foot, but he winds up eating a great counter right there. And again, I think this is going to be a really tough fight for Keith Thurman. Why did I have that clip in there? Oh, again, right? Baiting the jab from him and landing a great right hook, right? And it's also interesting, too, whenever Keith Thurman gets hit, he stops throwing punches. You know, he moves back off the line. He tries to reset. Great work right here. Now, this is exactly what I expect the fight to look like right here. Feinting him, getting him out of position, feinting him, right? I think there's going to be a lot of that. And then Keith Thurman's like, oh, shit, man, I don't have a strat right here, right? But again, coming forward, boom, great counters from Collazo. Collazo doing a lot of great things because of the fact that Keith Thurman doesn't control the space. He has to respect the feints as being punches. He has to respect that they're going to be a real punch and put himself out of position to counter them because he's not feinting Collazo. He's not able to make Collazo commit to the first attack, right? Which is the whole point of feinting in the first place. It's also the whole point of controlling the space between you and your opponent. But anyway, as you guys see in this video, you know, Keith Thurman does do a lot of really good things, but he's going to have to do a lot of really good things many, many, many more times in the fight, I think, than Pacquiao is. And I think that, you know, I'm going to do some more film study on Pacquiao. I'm not sure what fight I'll do. I was thinking, I already did some on the Marquez fight just to talk about that. But I could do like the Jeff Horn fight and do that. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know which video or which fight you'd want me to do film study on that. Just don't say the Mayweather one because there's no way in hell Keith Thurman is going to fight like Mayweather. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If there isn't anything, I'll probably rewatch the Jeff Horn fight and see if I can use any of that footage to kind of demonstrate some of the points and some of the ideas. But Keith Thurman, not a very active guard, not super active, very controlled. He's always in position to punch. He's very, very, very strong. He has great technique. But he's really easy to get out of position. He's really easy to feint. It's really easy to make him go first. It's really easy, again, to get him out of position to land your shots. Great counters right there from Collazo, feinting him, slipping the counter from Keith Thurman to land his own body shot. And I think that's the body shot that actually hurts Thurman. Yeah, I think it is. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I have some very, very, very cool stuff coming out at the end of the week, you guys. I'm really excited. Yeah, thanks, guys.